You're listening to episode 176 of the D6 Podcast.
I don't know anything more important in our society or in the kingdom of God than to help the church, help the family.
Discipleship is not an event, it's a way of life.
And one day it just hit me that discipleship at home was not about doing more. It was about inviting Christ into what we were already doing.
The goal of family ministry is not families sitting on the couch holding hands and singing Kumbaya. The ultimate goal is families that love God, love people, and make disciples of all peoples.
So that's why you're here. You're here to say 1 hour a week, as significant and as awesome as it is, we know that it's not enough, and we want to be intentional with every hour.
You're listening to the D6 Podcast. Here's your hosts, Ron Hunter and Jeremy Lee.
Normally at this point, I would say this is the family ministry podcast that helps you connect the church at home. But today, we're going to be talking about the family ministry conference that helps you connect the church at home. Welcome, everybody, to the D6 Conference Preview Special. Our guest today is Dr. Ron Hunter.
Boy, I don't feel like a guest. I'm in here every week with you.
Well, today you're the guest because it's your job to. But here's the task. We always want to know what our assignment is, and today's assignment for you, my friend, is get us pumped up about the D6 conference. It's only a few weeks away.
That's easy,
and there's still time to go. D6conference.com, and so this is what I want you to do. I want you to imagine we have a listener sitting in Starbucks, sipping on their coffee. They have the week of the D6 conference open. Surprisingly enough, they got a little bit left in their budget, and they might actually be able to go. And they're trying to decide, do I want to go to the D6 conference? And they're sitting with another minister friend who already has a ticket, and that minister is listening as well. It's a co-listening party.
Yes.
And they are just excited about coming, and they want you to get them jazzed about this experience. So you've got really, I guess, two tasks here. Convince us why we need to go, and if we're going, just get us pumped up.
Well, first of all, let's talk about why they're sitting in Starbucks, Jeremy. Not only is it a cool place, but we go to Starbucks to get away from the daily grind of the office.
Yes, and for coffee.
For coffee, that's right. That's the grind. So when we get there, we are absolutely pondering what are the events of our day, and inevitably we cross this hurdle. What are the problems? When we're at Starbucks, usually we're trying to solve some problem. It might be working on the sermon because we didn't get the time for interruptions in the office, or it might be pondering our next strategy, whatever it is, but we get away to ponder what's occupying the rent space of our head. And that pastor sitting there is wanting to know, how can I solve this issue in my church? How can I get this generation to work with this generation? How can I solve the marital challenges that are in our families? How do I solve the fact that our teenagers don't have a passion for Jesus Christ and they're walking away from their faith, and when they go off to college, they're losing a good percentage of them? I know churches who are tracking that very, very detailed, what's happening to their young people 5 and 10 years beyond their youth group. If you're thinking about any of those areas, the D6 conference is the place that you need to just go ahead and block those 3 days from your calendar, register, buy an airline ticket. You can get there cheaply from Southwest or any other preferred airline, or maybe that's in driving distance for you, but you need to show up because here's why. This conference will give you insights and solutions for how you're to help make your families healthier in the connections they're going to make at home, while showing them the value and importance of what you're preaching on Sunday and what you're teaching in the life group, the small group, and your Sunday school classes. That's in essence the why to all of this. It's going to literally bring generations together to value each other, see each other differently, and figure out how discipleship works in a daily basis, the way Deuteronomy 6, the namesake of the conference, is all about. D6, Deuteronomy 6. As I go, from the time I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed at night, I'm looking for intentional moments with my kids and or grandkids, whether they're in your home or grown, that I can just connect with their heart and then bump into a spiritual truth along the way to share faith, to share insight, to share counsel. And when we're doing that intentionally, it holds us accountable to be growing in our faith for Jesus Christ. And every pastor will see the immediate results of what that would mean for their church.
Ron, I love you. We have co-hosted this podcast for a long time, but I'm going to have to give you some pushback here, man.
Yeah,
I know
go
you're
ahead.
the boss around here.
Go ahead.
You're not used to getting some
Yeah.
criticism, but, man, I let up a softball for you. I said, get us excited about the D6 conference. And then you went on this really beautiful diatribe about all the
why, yes,
purposes, when
yes.
really all you had to say was one word.
What's that one word, Jeremy?
Disney.
Disney.
We're going to Orlando, man. I mean, this is the thing I love about Ron Hunter. He's not superficial like the rest of us. He's all deep. He's got meaning behind everything. But, man, you guys are going to Orlando.
We
and this
are
is a
going to
way
Orlando.
for me to go on church business, air quotes.
That's right.
And then I get to go to Disney, too.
That's right. So let's back up. Don't block 3 days from your calendar. Block 5 days from your calendar.
Yes.
So that you can take in Disney or Universal Studios or SeaWorld or the Holy Land experience, whatever your prep. And by the way, how many different possibilities are there in Disney?
It's incredible.
I mean, how many parks are there? We got an expert right here beside of us, our producer, Derek. Tell us how many parks there are, Derek.
You can use hand signals, Derek. Okay, there's four parks.
4 parks. Can we name them?
I can. I've gone before. Hollywood Studios.
Animal Kingdom.
The Magic Kingdom.
Epcot.
Boom.
Okay, there we go. We got
Boom.
through them.
The new Star Wars exhibit.
That's right. That's right. That's opening as part of Hollywood, right?
Will it be open?
Yeah.
Okay, it's open. See?
And we're taking that in while we're there, by the way.
Toy Story Land.
Riding the Slinky Dog roller coaster.
See?
Those are the reasons. Has nothing to do with your church. Those are the reasons to go to D6. Jeremy's right. I apologize.
I mean, did we talk about Universal Studios?
We did. That's, yeah. I mean, and all that it encompassas. I mean, wow.
SeaWorld, and you said something about
Holy Land Experience, the one that nobody's going to attend.
I'm nothing against the Holy Land Experience. I'm just going to stop there. I don't want to get myself in trouble.
No, we will get in trouble if we start. My parents have been there. They loved it.
Okay. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make you keep that in there. Okay, so listen. I have a plan. This probably shocks you, but I have a plan. And the first one was to talk about the amazing location.
Okay.
But now let's talk about you guys have shifted the schedule. So
yes.
And it might be more friendly to some of the ministers coming. It's a little bit of a different day. You've chosen different days of the week,
Absolutely.
Right?
Let's start with a theme because that affects every one of these.
Let's do it.
The theme is recalibrate. And recalibrate is when we make a slight shift or an adjustment in what we're doing in order to make things better. Most of us in ministry don't need to radically overhaul what we're doing. We need to slightly recalibrate. You're already doing some things very well, but can we do some things more intentionally that complement each other, that produces more effective results? We've evaluated our conference and said, how can we recalibrate the conference, not only from a theme, but how can we make this a better event? So we did shift from a Wednesday through Friday to a Thursday evening or late afternoon to a Saturday morning schedule. We think there's going to be more members of our congregations being able to attend and wanting to attend because it is not 3 days out of the week. It's 2 days, really a day and a half.
Out of the work week.
Out of the work week. And then a Saturday. And then they can stay over and take in any one of the fun things that Orlando has to offer. So that's the first recalibration is in that scheduling, to be intentional to where more and more parents and grandparents, because here's the deal. All of you ministers listening, when you cast vision from your pulpit, if key leaders within your church does not get excited, it's not going to happen very quickly, if at all. So if you want to see things happen, you get your key leaders, your influencers, to come to an event like this with you. And when they go back, the excitement is more than just from the pulpit. It's happening in the pew. And that's what we want. It's pew and pulpit working together.
Nice.
So the schedule, you're right. It starts Thursday afternoon, and we're going to have a great kickoff party from starting at 1 o'clock, and that's going to be just outside the doors, in around the exhibit area. Fun. There's going to be refreshments. We're going to see all these great resource providers, and we've had an overflow of resource providers this year. I'm just going to tell you that. Our space that the hotel and convention center have allotted, we've exceeded it, and we've had to move into the edge of the meeting room. So it's overflowing there. And then they're going to get a chance to pick one. They're going to have 2 breakouts. So they're going to get to pick one of their very first breakouts. And we have more breakouts this year than we've ever offered before. We're at, my memory says, 87 breakouts that they can choose from. They get to choose 6 total through the whole event. But the first one happens on that Thursday afternoon. Then a second one you get to pick from. Then you go to dinner and you come back and we've got our evening session. And our evening session, we lead off with Russell Moore, John Forrest, and Philip Nation, with Johnny W. as the comedian who's bringing us some laughter relief in the midst of all of that incredible insight that we have from these 3 leadoff hitters, so to speak.
That's great.
And, when we think about what are they talking about in here, I can kind of walk through the details of this. But Russell Moore, he's written his book, Storm-Tossed Family, and he's going to be dealing with how the family is shaped by the cross. And there is a hidden presence that we feel from our faithful Father, that aspect that is lived out in our lives from infancy through childhood into our hometown, all of this that goes together. And we see that the groom, Jesus Christ, is fighting for his bride and what that means to the family and all the events that surround it. John Forrest has just released a new book called Fight.
Yeah.
And he's going to bring that fight message in there. And he's going to talk about that those events where we need to be that fighter. We need to fight for what really matters. And then Philip Nation's going to talk about how do we create a culture of discipleship within our family? What are those habits that get us in that mode that we just are more intentional in those areas? And I'll go ahead and say this. This is the other new part that we have with never in the history of the D6 conference. We've been doing it for over 10 years now. Have we had a theme and a book that went along with the theme? Because we feel like the recalibrate is so important. Jeremy, we've been doing this a long time. One of the most frequently asked questions that we get on this is?
I was trying to think of a clever joke, but I've got nothing. So go ahead. What is the question?
People often, pastors, leaders often say, "How do we know if we're getting it right?" I mean, we've been doing family ministry for 5, 10 years, whatever, but we don't know if we're doing it well. So what we've done is we've gone out and we've asked a total of 15 authors to write a 14-chapter book. There's one chapter that has 2 authors in there. And we have this incredible resource called Recalibrate, a new measure for family ministries, the title of the book. And all of the writers in the book are also speakers at the conference, either on main stage or in the breakouts. So they're kind of mixed. And Philip Nation is one of those. In fact, the very first chapter in the book is his, Creating a Discipleship Culture for the Family. And each chapter covers a different segment of family ministry. Brian Haynes wrote Staff and Volunteer Dynamics. How do we hire and find volunteers that create a family ministry culture? Discipleship, The 4 Spheres, written by Jim Putman. What a mega guy for discipleship out there. Most pastors recognize his name. I got the privilege to write a chapter called The Art of Meaningful and Influential Conversations. If we don't have good conversations with our kids, family ministry becomes meaningless. And then we move to a section of age-specific ministries in this book, and we have Jimmy Myers. If you listen to the podcast Paradox, that's his podcast, and that's Fearless Family Ministry from Courageous Parenting he's written on. So he's big on that. Jim Weidman, great friend of ours. Mm-hmm. He's written finally on the topic we've wanted him to write on forever, grandparenting. He's at that season of life. Grandparenting the way it was meant to be. That's his. Jay Struther from here in Middle Tennessee, incredible ministry and thought leader. He writes on that one other question we get so frequently: what do we do with young adults who don't consider themselves family? They're not married, they don't have kids, maybe they are married, maybe they're early in their career, but what's that group in there that they don't kind of view themselves like their mom and dad? Are they even part of family ministry? And he addresses that area. Richard Ross writes about youth ministry in thirds. It's kind of a reworked area from his recently released book. We took one chapter out of that. He's reworked it for us. And then Lydia Randall wrote The Future Steps of Our Children. What's that path that they walk? How do we become very intentional with that faith path that they have? And then chapter 10, Tammy Daughtry, she writes on single parents and step parents and that blended family dynamic, because that can be kind of messy if we don't know how to navigate it, especially when the church seems to set itself up for perfect families sometimes. How do we deal with the fact that half of our families are not perfect? They're and yet they have so much to offer. And then Timothy Paul Jones deals with another frequently asked question: what happens when we have kids coming but their parents or grandparents are not? You know, what does that look like inside family ministry, and how do we minister to the parents who aren't even present? Chapter 12, Christopher Ewan talks about the prodigal aspect. What do we do when ordinary parents have an incredible heavenly Father, and while they're parenting really well, their son or daughter walks away from the faith? What does that look like? Especially when you know his personal testimony. Really, really insightful there. Scott Kerdersha talks on marriage. He's from Watermark Church, probably the leading church on marriage ministry, and he's been a leader in that for quite some time. And then we have Scott Turansky and Joanne Miller, who's done chapter 14, guiding teens and their parents through the cultural challenges. Goodness. Every one of these are incredible speakers. I would consider them to be one of the leaders in the chapter that they have written, and it's all together one resource. We're going to release it at the conference, and it's going to be the only place you can get this book for 30 days.
So released at the conference, and I think, if I'm right, most of those authors will be at the conference.
Every one of them are speaking, either on main stage or in a breakout.
Incredible.
So you can hear them speak on this topic, plus you can pick up the resource. And imagine taking this back. Let me tell you the outline of every chapter. Every chapter says, here's what the current norms are in our church, meaning here's what's happening. Here's what family ministry according to Scripture should look like. Here is how we measure it, and then here's some extra resources if you want to pursue this area. So every chapter follows that same kind of outline, but is written in the approach, thoughts, words, expertise of each one of these authors.
Okay, so I still have big questions.
Yes.
We have a lot of stuff we want to highlight, but we need to take a break. And after the break, I can't help it, Ron. I'm shallow. I'm not even. I want to know about this hotel, because I've heard it is cool, and I've heard the pool is awesome. I've heard
there's acres and acres of yes. Okay,
save it for after the break. We've got to tease something.
We do. All
right, so after the break, we're going to hear about this amazing hotel that we're all going to chill at.
Bring your swimmies and your golf clubs. Bring your swimmies and golf clubs. That's all I'm going to say.
I can't see. He's so excited. I can't hold him back. But after the break, we'll preview the hotel, talk a little bit more D6 conference, and we'll get more into the speakers, some of the ministry coaching that'll be available, the exhibit hall. We've got lots to talk about. We'll talk about that as soon as we come back. Enjoy the break.
Recalibrate. The word means to adjust, shift, or bring in line with a standard. When it comes to today's churches, ministry leaders know what they want to accomplish and have growth goals, but many struggle to know if they are on the right track. In a lot of these cases, the answer to discovering a clearer vision and accomplishing big goals is simply to recalibrate. At D6, we know what an impact it can have on ministries to make adjustments and adopt a clearer focus. That's why Recalibrate is not only the theme of this year's D6 conference, but it's also the title of a new book coming this fall. In Recalibrate, a new measure for family ministry, 15 leaders in the family ministry movement have come together to help people of all walks of life, from parents to grandparents to ministry leaders, recalibrate, adjust, and measure for healthy outcomes in the people they lead. Each author focuses on a unique area of family ministry, while at the same time showing how every person has value as a part of God's family. To help you spot unhealthy norms, as well as introduce new norms in your ministry, check out Recalibrate, a brand new family ministry book coming this fall from Randall House.
All right, welcome back. We are in the middle of the D6 conference preview special. Maybe you're listening to this right when it's released, or maybe you just saved it until your drive down to Orlando, and you're right now just wanting to get geeked about the conference. And that is our goal, is to give you just all kinds of information, get you pumped up, give you just a preview of what to expect when you're at the D6 conference. If you're listening to this in real time, there's probably still time to get a ticket and to jump in and join us. Go to d6conference.com to do that. But either way, whether you're already growing or trying to figure out if you want to go, thank you and welcome to this preview special. I have with us Dr. Ron Hunter, who I legit referred to as Ron Hubbard a little bit earlier. I'm going to just go ahead and admit that. I don't know why that happened, but hey, it's not like we've not been around each other for a while.
I never, you would have no idea all the things he calls me when we're not on the air.
But prior to the break, I was talking about what I need to know, which is there a really good pool at the hotel? I need to know about room service. Man, just talk to me about this hotel, because the staff around here has been buzzing about the digs for this conference. We're all excited about – I mean, you're showing me a picture, but this is a podcast.
This is a podcast, but I wanted to hold up a picture of how sprawling –
holy smokes.
Sprawling this pool is. The Marriott World Center is built in this kind of sea-like surrounding acres and acres of a pool with water slides and rock climbs. And I mean, you can climb up all over areas here, layout, pool, just incredible. And then at nighttime, I'm going to tell you, at 9 o'clock at night, this thing even comes more alive as they have a laser light and music show.
Are you kidding me?
You can sit up on your balcony and watch, or you can be down there. It's worth the time to go down and see it while we're staying there.
See, this philosophical family ministry stuff is great, but for me, you had me at light show. Come on.
Laser light show.
Now, because you've stayed here, right? You had to go down. Obviously,
yes.
You're not going to send us there unless you didn't go. So tell us your experience of the hotel.
Well,
give us the goods.
First and foremost, this is the premier Marriott property of all Marriotts. The staff have told us there that when they have new initiatives, it always starts here, rolls out, they test it, work on it. They're the leading the crown jewel, if you would, of the Marriott line of properties.
Nice.
And literally, every person who works for Marriott wants to be working here. They have the very best staff you can find anywhere. And so when you think about this property and how many different conventions it can hold, how many rooms it has, it's just over the top. And the excitement. You could literally go and stay here for a week and never go off site and have fun every single day. You could play golf. There's a whole golf course that surrounds it they own.
Really?
And it is a championship golf course. I have played it. Beautiful, beautiful, manicured, incredible. So take your clubs. Your family will love the pool. You can go off and play around. The rooms, when you go down, there's a pantry in the lowest level. And literally, you can buy any meal you want, anytime, 24
pantry.
hours.
You mean like a convenience store
It's
type?
It's almost like a grocery store, my friend.
Wow.
It's like a miniature grocery store. You can buy almost anything you could buy that you would need for your room is there.
So people like me who are super forgetful, you can just don't even worry about it.
Don't worry about anything.
You
can go.
pick up whatever you
got
need.
it right there. There's a Starbucks in the lobby. What more do you need?
That you had me. Oh man.
Starbucks, a real Starbucks where you can pay for your stuff with your app, not this different kind of Starbucks that people pretend to be Starbucks. This is a real one.
A laser show at the pool and Starbucks.
And the Starbucks is 30 yards away from the laser show.
This is hard-hitting journalism now. We're getting serious about D6 conference.
I have gone to the pool at night, and they have little fire pits around the pool, and I'll sit with my computer and work, and it's just incredibly relaxing. And it is about a mile away from Disney Springs, Disney, Universal Studio, everything. It's right here in the heart of what you're wanting to see, experience.
Okay, so tell me, and this will be my last shallow question that we're going to get back into, but are the beds good? Is it good beds? And the food, and how are we going to eat?
Oh, man. First of all,
I know you're a foodie.
Yes,
so.
all the Marriott beds are comfortable, so you don't have to worry about that. And I'm picky about two things about a bed. Not only is the bed comfortable, but the pillows. I'm a bit of a Oh, man. I'm very OCD about my pillows. And I like several pillows in my bed, too.
Yeah.
So they are wonderful. I mean, and they have different sizes, weights, and thickness, and fluff, and down, and, you name it. It's there for your sleeping convenience.
Be spoiled.
Yes, you are.
I mean, I'm talking to ministers who go to summer camp and stay in cabins with 30
with
other
sleeping
smelly,
bags, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
And sleep on the top bunk for purposeful reasons. So no sleep in the top bunks at the Marriott. And then when you go down for food, there are multiple restaurants inside the property. There is an Asian, there is a Mexican, there is a sports menu, and then there is a general restaurant. And so, and I've eaten at all but one of them. And it seems like every time I'm there, we just have somebody wanting to do everything but that one. And the food quality is, again, everybody wants to be part of this Marriott property. So we're talking top quality. And there's tons of things close by in case you want to go off-site.
So it's definitely a conference. Yeah. Tell that to your financial secretary or person in charge of the money. It's a conference.
It's a conference.
But it feels like,
man, you can go from conference to poolside in 10 steps.
So that's the best way to do it. Okay, So let's get back into, you were kind of going over the sessions, and I really like that. What are we going to experience in the next, when we jump in on that Friday?
Absolutely. So I've described Thursday evening. Friday morning, we're going to kick off with Pam Tebow.
like the Pam Tebow?
Yeah, that's why I said kick off. So... So we're literally going to talk through. There's an interesting dynamic in this first session Friday morning. We've got a mom who has raised literally a champion, but he's also a spiritual champion. Now, I will confess, I rarely get into sports on this show, but one of our co-hosts, David Jones, who we're going to hear more and more from in the future as time goes along, he called me out one time because my team has not been performing well. I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida. Therefore, it is ingrained in me to cheer for Florida State. Ooh. So when Tim Tebow came along and played for our rival team, the one that no Florida State fan can pull for, once I saw his testimony and got to know him, I could actually cheer for them anytime they weren't playing Florida State. My wife didn't get to that point so easily, but she also is a big Tim Tebow fan. Well, we wanted to know, what is it like to raise that type of a faith champion, that one who can stand up against pressure regardless of what it meant in money. And so we wanted Pam, Tim's mom, to come and share with us, what did their house look like? And to go a little further, Tim's not the only child they had. What did it look like for his siblings? How did that go? What did that culture look like? And so she's going to be sharing. But then immediately following, we have a complete flip side. We have Christopher Ewan, who's going to come up and talk through a great home life, but he was not that champion spiritually. He walked away from the faith. He got involved with selling drugs. He got involved with all kinds of areas, wound up arrested, and I'll leave more to that.
Okay.
To what's going on. Yeah, leave some suspense in there. And so he's that prodigal that obviously if he's speaking, he came back around, but he's going to be talking through two different scenarios inside that one session. And then we're going to be able to go out to and pick this up. And I don't even know by the time this airs if there's any left because there's only a little bit. We have all of our speakers who have offered themselves up for one-on-one coaching.
That's so cool.
One-on-one coaching 2 times in here. And when we put the resources out there, they went quick. And so those might be sold out, but you can check at d6conference.com and check those out. But can you imagine one-on-one time with any one of our speakers and being able to sit across the table for 30 minutes with them and ask them any questions you want for how it can help your family and or your ministry? So that's a new feature that we're recalibrating in the conference this year. The second session of Friday morning, which is General Session 3, I'm going to be sharing the art and influence of meaningful conversations with our kids. It's a shorter session, and I'm going to be really talking to people who want to have that heartfelt connect with their kids, and what does that look like? An approach that anybody can take, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. I often find introverts go, I don't know how to do it. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm an introvert. I'm a natural introvert. And I'll tell you how I went about it. Extroverts get it. It comes to them easy to connect, but not with depth. And so we're going to talk through both of those areas. We're going to break for lunch, come back, and the afternoon is going to be a sprint and a marathon in here. It's a marathon in that we're going to hit you with 4 speakers in a row. 3 of them are minis, where we do the TED Talk kind of, 12-minute talks. Jim Weidman on grandparenting, Lissy Reno, which we talked about last week, from the heart of the teen, that one who interprets what the parent means versus what they're getting. and Michaela White, great thought leader out there from Children's Pastors Conference. She's going to be sharing with us as well, and all three of those minis are just going to come pretty incredible. And what I'm excited about Michaela's talk is she's going to share with us how do we help the millennials, which are the parents of our young children in our churches today. What does that look like? Who are they? What are they thinking about in regards to church? Used to it was about keeping them. Well, now they're your parents. How are you getting them more connected in there? And then Jim Putman, that great discipleship thought leader out there, he's going to share those 4 spheres of discipleship that occur in your church, and how do you develop your church in a stronger way. Then we're going to break for dinner.
Then we come to that
incredible evening. So now we have Jefferson Bethke, and the best way I would describe Jefferson Bethke is that he is the guy who is connecting with everybody under the age of 40, the way Gary Chapman and John Trent and all those marriage gurus back in the day. He's that guy that's connecting to the younger ones, who's looking at him from not only marriage but family, and he combines that talk so well in there. Johnny W. will be doing a long set in there that evening, who will have us laughing. And then Candy Gallaty, wife of Robbie Gallaty, she's going to be talking about how we disciple the ladies of our church and what they mean to the men, the women, and the children. And then we're going to come back Saturday morning. And where we had individual coaching on Friday, now we have the option for your entire staff or team to sit with one of those speakers and do team coaching. You can get advice for what your team should look like in certain dynamics. And then we'll have 2 more breakouts. And then we've got scheduled on our schedule, official schedule, you can show to your person writing the check for you coming. We got the whole rest of the day planned for downtime, sorting out strategy, universal. This across the board thinking. However you want to take it, that's the rest of the day.
What an incredible schedule!
Yeah, we're very, very excited about the speakers, the experience that our attendees are going to get. Out of what you've heard, I hate when we narrow, but what's 1 or 2 that stood out in your mind? You think, hey, this is one people can't miss.
Yeah, the laser light show at the pool.
Yep.
And Starbucks in the lobby.
Yep.
No, I'm just. I believe in the power of coaching. So you're like you said, your recalibration on the coaching piece. That sounds really, really, really cool. And you really just kind of covered main stage.
That's exactly right.
We were trying to figure out the count today. I think it's still evolving, but
it is.
Somewhere around 50.
Yeah, 50 total speakers. Where else can you go in one conference and get 50 speakers that affect literally every specific ministry of your church, from preschool to the oldest adults that you're going to minister to, and how it ties together in a healthy discipleship generational way?
So we're about to wrap up, but kind of last thing I'd like you to do, because again, I just want to think of the people that are coming, and they're we love to get our strategies around breakouts.
Yes.
You kind of think of the breakouts in terms of tracks. So can you walk us through your tracks so people can kind of begin to kind of get their mind around where they're heading on the breakouts?
Absolutely. So we divide our tracks into those, first of all, the core area, age-specific ministry. So if you're a youth or a student minister, you're going to want to attend one of our 2. We have 2 tracks in student and youth ministry. Same thing with children, same thing with family, same thing with parenting. So there's 2 tracks that at any given time, you got 2 options, generally speaking, to select from for all 6 of these hours. And all of these speakers they're local practitioners, they're ministry leaders, they're professors, you name it, they're the right ones. But beyond the obvious ones there, we also have the lead pastor. We have family ministry models that you can go and figure out family ministry dynamics, and there's 2 tracks of family ministry models as well. But then we've got what we call non-traditional. This is the area where we're dealing with broken families, step parents. What do we look like with children whose parents are not there? What does it look like for us to deal with special needs inside family ministry? All of these areas are covered in non-traditional families. Then we have one over here that's apologetics. We cannot do family ministry well if we don't teach people how to be comfortably and confident in defending their faith. Otherwise, they will stop defending and then ultimately walk away or become ambivalent about it. So we have several speakers in the apologetic track. And then we have a couple more tracks that just fit those like grandparenting areas. You name it, every other lens for it. There's literally 17 rooms, 17 tracks. A couple of them are duplicated, as I noted earlier. But that's what you got a chance to look at and do. Lead pastor, that's one of them as well.
Lead pastor, by the way, you guys, what's the code for lead pastor?
Yes, for a lead pastors, bring my boss. Okay. So if you are sitting here going, man, I don't want to pay a higher price. I know it's always costs more at the last minute to come. Here's one deal. There's two specials we offer that I don't know of any other conference that does. Number one, if you get one person from your church, that could be your spouse. Then if the spouse registers and puts in the code, bring my boss, then the lead pastor comes free. So all you need is one more person, and that cuts your price literally in half if you're splitting it. And then we also offer a spouse discount. So if you're registering for one person, we don't make you pay the same price if your spouse is coming. And then our multi-person break, we actually looked at this recently. Ours happens lower than any other conference comparable to ours that we looked at. Ours happens at 4. So if you're bringing 4 or more from your church or within your family, you automatically qualify for a lower price break. And then lastly, if you're a student or a professor at a seminary or college, we have a student discount for you, or an academic discount that you can take advantage of.
Okay, so hopefully we've gotten you pumped up about the D6 conference this year. Thank you for being a part of the preview special. Thank you, Dr. Ron Hunter, for your help in guiding us along this way.
It's a privilege to use my PhD for poolside assistance.
And your foodie knowledge and your pillow snobbery.
That's right.
We appreciate all of that help as we prepare to have a great year at the D6 conference. For those of you who can't join us, we will be back with the D6 podcast next week. Our guest will be Dan Glenn.
He's pastoring not far from where the D6 conference is held.
We need to get him to come on over.
Yes, absolutely.
That's true. He put together a plan with his church to pay off $7.2 million in medical debt.
Oh, my word.
For the people in his city and the surrounding county. There was a very strategic path, and no, he did not raise $7.2 million. So those of you thinking it's impossible, it's actually very doable for churches to do.
Wow.
He's going to lay out that plan for everybody so that we can have that same kind of impact in our cities and counties. I can't wait for y'all to hear it. That will be our guest next week. Thank you guys for being a part of this special, and thank you for coming and being a part of the D6 conference. If that's you, we want to see you. Come say hello to us. If you see me or Ron or any of the D6 team, please come say hello. We want to hang out and get to know you better. I hope you guys have a great week of ministry.
You've been listening to the D6 podcast. You can learn more about D6 at d6family.com.